Major UK retail bosses have pleaded for staff protection as violent criminals empty stores. We're going to read into this more from The Guardian, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from The Guardian with the headline that major UK retail bosses are pleading for staff protection as violent criminals empty stores. The UK business leaders have asked for a meeting with the Home Secretary to press for a new offensive of assaulting or abusing shop staff. As someone who has had experience in retail, as having that experience, I can tell you it's not nice getting abuse. I've luckily, in my experience, have not been assaulted, but obviously, it's it's quite devastating, very harmful. You know, at the end of the day, these men and women who work in retail have a job, and that's to provide a customer service, to fill shelves, and meet their obligations and targets, just like any other workplace. And interactions between themselves and customers are vital. And when it comes to customers coming in with who are not as comfortable or abusive or whatever, we have to try and maintain a certain standard to keep our composure. And sometimes we can't do that because either they're too aggressive or they get violent. So I just want to put this out there as somebody who has that experience in retail. Do think before you say something, or what actions you're thinking about going in the heat of the moment when you go to a shop, because at the end of the day, behind that person with that shirt and name badge is a human being with emotions and feelings who are just trying to do their job. And yes, not all of them put a smile on their face, not all of them deliver the best customer service, and yes, there's always room for improvement, but just remember that they are human, and it's important to bear that in mind. And as I said, this one is a bit personal because of this story. Almost 90 retail leaders, including the bosses of Tesco, Sainsbury's, Boots and WH Smith, have written to the government demanding action on rising retail crime, in which violent criminals are emptying stores. The retailers include the bosses of Aldi, Primark and Superdrug, calling for the creation of a new UK-wide aggregate offence of assaulting or abusing a retail worker, as already exists in Scotland, which would carry tougher sentences and require police to record all instances of retail crime and allow the allocation of more resources. So Scotland have already got something like this already, and you just see from that photo there, guys, like a massive group of them there. In the West, this is from the West Midlands, a co-op. They're going to go in there and they're going to basically pillage that shop. And the thing is that a lot of what I've started to see a lot of is a lot more coordination from large groups of basically going in and raiding and pillaging basically the shops. And the problem is that there is a lack of accountability from our police force in comparison to Scotland. And because of that, it means if they can do it once, the incentive is there for them to do it again and again and again, which is why it's led to this article here. Now, I was aware of groups like these before this article came out. However, I did not know it was going to be on such a massive scale, which is what seems to have happened here. And this falls at the feet of the Home Secretary and the Home Office, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that need to make sure that they look after us. They make sure they have a suitable police force. And it's right that so many retail leaders have joined in this letter to call for more help, because while we are in a cost of living crisis, businesses are what's driving the economy, and these businesses need to make profit, need to make margins, and if they're not making those margins, they're going to go under, which means it's going to be one less job for somebody, another person out of a job, another business, another shop that customers can't go and spend their money in, and it all goes round in a circle, you see. And we need to make sure that we need to stop people. We do need to do more to tackle crime of all kinds, including theft. Now, I completely understand the point of people stealing to survive when it comes to the cost of living crisis and trying to make ends meet. I totally understand that point of view when you are scratching and clawing. Um, I want to stress to those specific people, it's not their fault. It is not specifically their fault. It is because the government are not giving them enough support and help as it is. But what I will say is that these kind of gangs are seeing an opportunity here to make a lot of money out of the expense of companies and shops. And you may not have any compassion for certain businesses or businesses and shops or whatsoever, but people working in those shops, it's very demoralizing, and it's for them, especially if they get abuse or get assaulted in a place that they work, and some of them are more passionate than others when it comes to their workplace. I take very much pride in my job. I've always taken pride in my work, wherever I've worked in my workplaces, and to see someone come in and trash it and essentially walk out, and you're there to pick up the pieces because it's your job, um, it hurts to some people. It might not matter to you because at the end of the day, I'm just getting paid to do a job. To me, it's not. I take pride in my work. I do, and I know some people will be watching this will have the same feelings to me. Um, these thugs, are using encrypted communications such as WhatsApp in order to coordinate these things as well. The power of social media has given them more opportunities to do this kind of stuff, which means that more needs to be done, not just from retailers, but especially from the police to help deal with these situations. So we need to be able to challenge them and be able to hold them account. And if Scotland have such laws in existence that will crack down on them, there's no excuse for England to not have the same. That applies to not just UK, but to everywhere, I will say. The police have consistently tell us that a lack of database about these offences means they have no visibility about the nature or the scale of the letter of the issue, the letter says. The 88 retail bosses have asked for a meeting with the Home Secretary Suella Braverman to discuss the issue after a meeting with the Minister for Crime, Chris Phillips, led to a promise to develop on an action plan. The call comes after retailers, including the Co-op and John Lewis, highlighted what they say was a worsening issue. A survey of members of the British Retail Consortium, which represents all the major chains, found levels of shoplifting in 10 of the biggest cities have risen by an average of 27% this year. 27% is a massive jump. That is a massive jump when it comes to shoplifting. Meanwhile, police's own data for one of major retailers show that forces failed to respond to 73% of serious retail crimes that were reported, while 44% of retailers in the BRC's annual crime survey rated the police responses as poor or very poor. Helen Dickinson, the chief executive of the BRC, which helps organise the letter to Braverman, says, "It is vital that action is taken before the scourge of retail crime gets any worse. We are seeing organised gangs threatening staff with weapons and emptying stores. We are seeing violence against colleagues who are doing their jobs and asking for age verification. We are seeing some torrents of abuse aimed at hard-working shop staff. It's simply unacceptable. No one should have to go to work fearing for their safety. We need government to stand with millions of retail workers who keep us safe and fed during the pandemic and support them as those workers supported us." The letter comes after the boss of the Co-op grocery chain said it was frustrated by the lack of action against thieves who cost the business £33 million in the first half of 2023. £33 million, guys. That's just one chain, guys. Matt Hood, the chain's managing director, says shoplifting was becoming a major issue for UK communities and cited a rise in what he calls shop looting, where large amounts are stolen by organised gangs. Like I said, if there's opportunities for them, they're going to take them. And the problem is that if there's not going to be accountability, they're going to be incentivized to do it again, and again. And that is where the problem lies. He argued that the idea that shoplifting was only done by those in real needs meant it was seen as victimless crimes and had not been properly tackled. The co-op has seen crime, shoplifting and antisocial behaviour jump 35% year on year, with more than 175 incidents recorded at the first 6 months of the year. That's almost 1,000 instances a day. 1,000 a day, guys. That's just a co-op. 1,000 a day. While historically thieves had targeted certain products such as cigarettes, he said they are now stealing all kinds of items from confectionery to meat and health and beauty products. Health and beauty products are very expensive. What retailers like Superdrug or Boots, when they used to have, obviously I don't know, I'm assuming they've changed it now, but what they used to have these, these skincare products and cosmetics in the stands and on the shelves, and it's so easy, and I hate to say this, it's so easy for people to come in and just swipe it all in to a bag and make a run for it, and they're, especially when some of these skincare products cost as much as £30 freaking, and they go out the door with £200 worth. That's a lot of money. That's a huge amount of money just gone, just like that. And obviously, I'm assuming that the likes of Superdrug and Boots have changed things since then, probably putting empty boxes on the shelves or something. As for makeup, cosmetics, it's an absolute nightmare, because those kind of retailers, they have to have someone in those aisles at all trading hours, because of the, not just from the customer service point of view, but just from the theft point of view. It's expensive stuff. Like fragrance shops, why do you think what's it called, the perfume shop, why do you think they don't have an open counters anymore? It's all covered behind the door, because people will just jump over the counter and just try to steal it and just make a run for it. Hell, they're probably still trying to do that. It's insane. 30, 50 quid of a small bottle, whatever, the incentive is there for people. But the thing is that if they get caught and they're not prosecuted and all these things, and they end up just getting away with it, or a slap on the wrist or nothing, or pretty much getting away with it, and the police don't chase these issues up, again, the incentive is there for them to do it again, because they will feel that, I just got away with £15, I'm going to go and sell it on eBay for the same price, or if not, after stealing it, and they've just made money just off doing that. And then it creates an incentive for people. We need to reduce this, and if you crack down on it, and if you have police that are enough police force to crack down on this, yes, it is not the highest priority in terms of crime, but it is still a crime nonetheless, guys, that needs to be tackled, because at the end of the day, it affects the economy. It's going to affect the economy in the long term if we don't deal with this issue. Next thing you know, everything's going to be hidden behind stainless steel fences and whatnot, inside shops, where people won't even be able to touch the products because they're afraid of them running out the shops. It's really important that the police crack down on these crimes. Some experts argue that technology such as self-checkouts and the display of expensive goods on shelves rather than behind counters served by staff have contributed to the problems. Self-service has... Now, I've never worked in a retail store that's had self-service, but the way I believe that most self-services work is they have one person there basically there to basically just to be there if they assist. But the thing is that unless you're watching like a hawk, and sometimes there's member of staff or two if they're there, they don't always see everything like a hawk. Excuse me. And it can be a case of not a person actually stealing an item, but maybe they thought they scanned it and it didn't scan, and then they're accused of stealing, and then it's a difficult one, self-service. But that customer service does matter to people. But I think it has contributed to the problem, but I don't think it's the main problem. The fashion and homeware retailer Next boss Simon Woolston Also said he has seen a rise in shoplifting, which has hit profit margins by 0.2%. That came after John Lewis said it has suffered a 12 million year-on-year increase in theft. In its chair, Sharon White, calling shoplifting an epidemic. Yeah, it's a short one, but obviously I've ranted on for quite a bit about it, haven't I? To be fair, guys. But yeah, I've made my point quite blatantly clear about it, and yeah, I've worked in the retail business, so I know what it is like. I've actually, as I said, I've not been assaulted personally, but I've had incidents where I've had to just stand by while somebody just basically trashes the store in front of me, because in order to protect myself and my colleagues. And then after it happens, there's us picking up all the pieces. But at that time, the police were very quick to apprehend them and press charges and everything that needed to be done against that person. But as I said, we're talking more about these large groups, these bulk thefts, as the term in retail we like to call it is bulk theft. It's not so much just taking a few items, as we're saying, massive swipes of making a big gain and getting away with it. And it's also like, as much as retailers, and it's so important that retailers obviously record all these incidences, it's so important that the police chase up on them as well, and the police are not doing enough to chase up on them. It's going to be a problem. But anyway, I've spoken enough about it. What do you guys think of this? Is it the retail bosses? Do they need to do more? Is it the police? Are they doing enough? Is it all on the Home Secretary and her responsibilities as the Home Secretary to do more to protect retail businesses? This is a crime that's not as big as an issue of such as rape or sexual assault, obviously, but it is still one that is going to affect our economy in the long term, guys. So please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.